Greetings everyone from beautiful downtown Kiev. I'm here at one of the grand cathedrals of the Russian Orthodox religion, here in the center of Kiev. Welcome to the inaugural year of Studio 5. Previously, parts of it were called the Advanced Studio Slot. Mine was called the Advanced Green Building Studio. Still call it that. We will be examining sustainability, resiliency, green building techniques on a really wonderful project. First, I'd like to have a little conversation about what is sustainability and how does that fit into our work as architects and designers of the 21st century, of the future. So first of all, the idea of green building and sustainable urbanism and eco-city development and urban farming are all becoming key and one and the same for the concepts of architecture in the 21st century, where buildings are no longer considered to be objects in space but part of an entire system that helps support the idea of sustainable urbanism, sustainable cities, resilient societies. So it is each project that adds to those individual principles. Globalization. Globalization is part of our work, is part of what we do, is part of what we have to think of, but it's not only the concept that there are people around the world that can do our work, or even the internet. It's the challenge of thinking globally, thinking in an open, new, and different direction, where we think of things holistically. We think of things as being part of a whole. I would suggest that this is one of the tenets of sustainability and the overall approach to individual architectural projects. Integration. Integration is key to our work today and certainly one of the cornerstones of sustainable development and resiliency. The old triple bottom line, we think in terms of it being integrated. I think of it in terms of the Star Trek chessboard, where it's three-dimensional, where everything affects the other. Those three cornerstones are, of course, economy, equity, and environment, or people, prosperity, and the planet. But in any case, they all have to do with a grander understanding and appreciation of the effects that architecture and urban design have on the built environment and on the resiliency of a city. Think about the terms of sustainability, green building, and resiliency. Imagine that sustainability could be the past, in that it is the principles on which our new genre of development are resting. Green building could be the methods, the techniques, the present day work that we as architects do in order to accomplish those principles. Resiliency is the future of our cities, the future of our projects, and looking forward into the future. Kiev is a beautiful example. What we're looking at right now was entirely leveled during World War II. Indeed, the entire city of Kiev was a ruin, much like Stalingrad, which is just to the east. Both cities were the focus of massive battles for 40 months straight during World War II, leveling the city. Yet today, Kiev is a beautiful and vibrant city, and conflicts continue to today. As many of you know, there are constant conflicts within the eastern region and southern regions of Ukraine, which are shaking it at its foundation. But to imagine moving towards the future with the development of the cities and the country is part of this idea and concept of sustainability and resiliency. So let me talk a little bit about the project. We're going to be working on a really exciting project in Detroit. Detroit is famously a city in ashes, literally. It has burned, it has been abandoned, it has been degraded. The economy has collapsed. The environment is a disaster. The social equity is uniform and very limited as far as its diversity. So the recent changes in the city of Detroit have allowed for an awakening. Money is available now from governments. Money is available now from private banks and individuals and investors. Famously, Detroit is coming back. And it's coming back with a sustainability focus. The Mayor Mike Duggan, Maurice Cox, who was the planning director from the city of New Orleans, and Arthur Jameson, who was a director for HUD in Washington, D.C., are all now part of the city government and moving in the direction of ECO-D, ecological Detroit, with urban farms and urban farming, markets in order to support local populations in creating new and vibrant and diverse neighborhoods. The idea of urban farming is becoming their mainstay for the redevelopment of the abandoned blocks and city fabric that is existent throughout the entire metro region. So let's talk a little bit more about the specifics about Detroit. It's an exciting project. We will be traveling there in the first several weeks of the term. We'll be meeting a number of people. These are real projects. There's a real need on the site in order to accomplish these goals. Our overall project will be part of a very large 2 square mile area within the city, one of the worst parts of the city, where we will be focusing on about a dozen blocks right in the center, recreating a destroyed urban center, a destroyed commercial zone, and a center for this entire project. Our project will involve marketplace, commercial, pedestrian, TOD, commercial, shops, outside promenades and shopping, mixed use, housing for millennials, and reconstruction of city blocks on the eco-city genre of urban farming with manufactured housing, container homes, container homes, and other amenities. Let's talk a little bit more about the specifics. I look forward to seeing you in studio. The city of Detroit has remained an enigma for quite some time. For the last several decades, the economy has collapsed as a result of the changes to the auto industry and heavy manufacturing, gutting the economy and leaving the central part of the city in decay and disarray. Businesses have closed, churches have disappeared, schools have been shuttered and are now in decay. Entire neighborhoods, including commercial districts, lay in ruins. Yet, the most recent changes to the bankruptcy that has famously been in the news this last year has changed the outlook for Detroit. There has been a lot of neighborhood meetings, a lot of government involvement at the city, state, and federal level. Money is now available for coming in and redeveloping on a scale even grander than New Orleans and hopefully rebuilding a city from the ground up. They're calling it ECO-D, Ecological Detroit, and their intent is to develop an ecologically sound city, which is a perfect example of sustainability and sustainable urbanism in the 21st century. They will be quite the new and different approach as an example for the rest of the country, particularly the Rust Belt. The rebuilding of the central part of the United States is a large part of what will be happening in the 21st century. So the neighborhood meetings and the focus groups have all been working towards the idea of Brightmoor and rebuilding Detroit and eco. Our project will focus on the central part of Detroit, on the crossroads that used to be a commercial district for Brightmoor. It will include a ethnic marketplace for local merchants and the sale of produce that comes from the local urban farms that surround the area. Our work will include the marketplace itself, commercial district, mixed use, high density residential. Will also include the surrounding blocks of housing that will include manufactured housing and eco-city urban development, urban farming approaches. Additionally, a community college focused on the idea of sustainability will also be part of the program and available for development in an architectural program. This community college would again focus on the concepts of sustainability and be connected with the local community colleges in Detroit. There's a large community development afoot and many public meetings have been held. We will be part of at least one of those, and we'll plug into the existing work that has already been accomplished on the site and around the area. So I'm here on Maidan Square in the center part of Kiev. So that's the story for the Detroit project. It's going to be an exciting and complicated project. It will involve a variety of resources for urban design and architecture. We'll be focusing, as I say, on sustainable urbanism and green building techniques. There are a few logistics. Please talk to Matt Shea about where we will be located in the studio. Every term someone likes to work alone, and that's fine. We can accommodate that with a group of one, but I do recommend groups of two simply because of the amount of information that's necessary to work on a project like this. Additionally, if someone can't make it to the Detroit trip, that's fine. We can accommodate that by selecting a representative group to go for us, gather information, and meet people. If you're interested in my blog, you'll find it by Googling my name, Fred Andreas, and then add it in Eastern Europe. From the center of Kiev, I look forward to seeing you soon on Thursday.